This
Oh,
meeting is being recorded.
it's 29th of July or August
August.
2023. It's a SIG Node Sidecar working group. Welcome, everybody. We already started before the recording, but Matthew, thank you for reminding me about recording. Yeah, so we started discussing termination of sidecars, and there are two main features of termination that people generally want to see. It's first is a termination grace period, and the second is pre-stop hook. So those are important for customers to be able to first delay termination a little bit, and then second um, be able to execute something and like delay SIG term with pre-stop hook. So yeah, we do support both, and the question is it enough or we need more? And yeah, this old document from Joe talking about some use cases. So first use case is login monitoring sidecar, and I think this login and monitoring sidecar can be covered reasonably well. So what you can do is you can set graceful termination bigger than graceful termination of all other containers, and whenever you see that data is not flowing anymore, you kind of like, I mean, you clean up all the buffers and you're done with the termination, so you can terminate yourself. However, this use case is, I mean, even this use case is not very well covered, because how login sidecar will know to start cleaning up buffers more aggressively if there is no notification that other containers start being terminated, right? I mean, maybe we can react on SIG term and like consider that as a sign that everything else being terminated. Yeah, I think that maybe the
Yes, I guess that's the way to do. Yes.
yeah. The problem is that you know that other containers started being terminated, but their grace period may be like an hour, and during this hour you want to keep sending data. So the question is, how do you login container knows that other containers are done completely? So like they already terminated totally.
Yeah, maybe just stop logging for a minute, and yeah, you can't really assume it's done, and you got no way of really knowing.
But for termination, shouldn't we do like for the startup? We start shutting down the init containers after the main containers have finished.
Yeah, that's another possibility. So we can do that. However, this may limit the amount of termination you have. So imagine you have a graceful termination scenario when, like, customer gave your pod 30 seconds. So main container will use up all the 30 seconds to clean up stuff, and then you don't even have a notification that you need to start cleaning up. So in the end of the 30 seconds, you get notified that you're done, but your graceful period is 0 because pod is already completed. So,
Yeah, because the graceful termination is at the pod level. Is it?
I mean, when customer delete the pod, they can override the graceful termination.
Yes, but at the pod level, not at the container level.
Yeah.
But I think the container runtime API is implemented in container level, I guess. You can kill the container with graceful period.
Yeah, but you kill the container with graceful period, but then the graceful period may eat up all the graceful period of entire pod. So
yeah, and if we take longer than the graceful termination period, then we break the contract. Or should we change the contract?
Yeah,
I think there's a proposal from Joe downside of this document. I think this is pretty aggressive. And there are a lot of work to do.
Oh. So that's enforcing validation to ensure that your pod is got a high enough grace period.
Yeah. So this proposal is basically trying to allocate a budget for main containers and init containers.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wouldn't work very well in scenarios when you have only 30 seconds to terminate. So, for instance, in Google Cloud, we have this preemptible VMs, like spot VMs, like whatever it's called. So spot VMs only given 30 seconds to complete. So we try to allocate the 30 seconds between regular pods and system pods. So you get in less than 30 seconds. But then out of the 30 seconds, it will start dividing it between main containers and init containers. It will be like minute amounts. And probably they won't be controlled by those numbers. So we can get into a situation where we need to proportionally allocate, like look at these numbers and proportionally allocate this, like, I don't know, 15 seconds between main containers and init containers. So it will be very little time for them.
Yeah, I guess in that case, you'd set the pod level fill to 30 seconds, and then whatever you want for your init containers, you could use the remainder for your regular containers, which might be 15 seconds or something at that point.
So alternative stop sidecar containers after containers. Okay, so just basically don't introduce new sidecar, new grace period. Just give sidecars whatever leftover they have. And lastly, even more fields for each sidecar. Okay, basically explicit limit. So we have a couple patterns here, right? So first pattern is login pattern. In login pattern, I want to know when everything ended, and then another like 15 seconds. And the other pattern is istio pattern, when it doesn't need any more time than any regular container, but it wants to run till the end. So it doesn't want to extend pod lifecycle to another second, but it needs to run to like till the very last container is running, including sidecars. So like I think this is graceful period business, like whatever proposed in graceful period will help with the login pattern. Like login pattern when you want to run to the last container, then a little bit more. So this will be covered with extending this grace period. But this first mesh scenario, when you want to wait for everything to complete and then you don't need any time to clean up yourself, then, I mean, it doesn't need any graceful period or anything.
Yeah, it's just the ordering that is important.
Yeah. Yeah, I think many scenarios may be solved easily by just notifying sidecars when everything else is gone. So, like, if instead of this, we will, like, for login scenario, if you have another signal that you can send to login container saying that all other containers are gone, then it will solve the first scenario, right? I know if it solves the second scenario, because second scenario, you will know that all the regular containers are gone, but sidecars may still be running, so you don't know about those.
So is it? I guess does everyone agree like regular containers should all be terminated first, and then sidecars should all be terminated? Does it seem it should just be serialized that way? Just try to figure out like what's sort of the baseline assumptions we can make that maybe we can get move off from there.
I think basic assumption is that sidecars needs to definitely terminate. Like, I mean, SIG term can be sent any moment. Like, there is very simple sidecars that are doing like this. I don't know, certificate update. So they're just running in background and do certificate update once in a while. We don't care about those ones. So
Exactly.
those are easy. But then if your sidecar is needed for life cycle of other containers, and you run at least for all other containers to run, and then based on your function, you need to run during other sidecars running, or you don't need to run during other sidecars running.
So there's really two things. There's sidecars have to finish after all the other containers, and there may be some ordering between sidecars.
Yeah.
So, and then it turns into like, how do you have a pod level grace period now? How do you apportion that to everything, or do you add more fields? I'm not sure what the appetite is for adding more fields for this sort of thing.
Yeah, I think when I talked to John from Istio, he said that they also care about not extending lifetime of container too long. So if you need to wait, like if the only safe implementation for you is to wait another 10 seconds after everything else is done, then it's not acceptable. They don't want this. They want to finish as soon as possible, so customers are not losing this 10 seconds of main container being unavailable, because it affects scheduling and affects many other like um, it basically costs customers money. They want to finish after, but not long after. So they want to like finish as soon as they can finish.
So there was that one proposal of SIG term to all the main containers in parallel, and basically the sidecar containers get whatever's left over, which might be zero, in which case they just get immediately killed. And then the workaround, if you're an end user, it's like, well, set your pod grace period big enough that your normal containers have time to exit, and your logging and your sidecars also have time to exit, which you can sort of do without adding in parameters. And it sort of leaves open the door to someday saying, well, okay, this isn't great. We need to have a separate sidecar grace period as well. That way you can at least do it without adding in the API parameters and sort of define the exact behavior that you want. That makes it technically possible to get, I think, to cover all the scenarios, but maybe not ideal because you're still trying to, your app has to behave basically. It can't consume the entire grace period.
Yeah. Yes. So today, if you want to do everything reliably, you set your sidecar grace period to the maximum grace period of all other containers and just ignores any SIG terms. But then you extend the lifetime of a pod for this grace period, so you don't know when to finish. You just like go forever.
Well, so
In your proposal, we ordering the SIG term, so we shifting this notification to whenever all other containers are done, right?
yeah, and that's sort of the signal that you can now clean up. So if you are done, go ahead and exit and don't wait any longer. So that does help in the situation where you don't care to keep the pod alive any longer. And if you're the logging case, you may not know how much time you got. Well, I guess you do know how much time you got left, but it doesn't really matter. You've got some small amount of time to resolve everything, and you can assume that all the other pods are dead.
would it help to send two signals, like one signal, like regular SIG term as we do today, and second signal when all other containers are done? I don't know what signal we can send, but
Yeah.
that may be one of the options.
Does it really make Does it really make sense to notify when the grace period has started for a sidecar, or we just notify it when the normal containers have exited?
I mean, it's nice to know that, like, especially with very short grace period, it's nice to know that the termination has started. So if you know that, like,
The pod termination has started, yes. Okay.
if you only have 15 seconds to finish and you need this 15 seconds to do stuff, then it's nice to know about this 15 seconds.
Yeah. So we need like to introduce a new SIG.
I don't know how you'll be able to do that.
I mean, we can start the pre-stop hook later. But when do pre-stop hook execute? So pre-stop hook executes instead of SIG term, right?
I think pre-stop hook is executed first, and the SIG term is SIG node. After that, after finishing the pre-stop hook, I guess.
So that would be enough, I think, because if we introduce like a new
What if we do like change the behavior of pre-stop hook and SIG term? So for sidecars, pre-stop hook will be called and then SIG term will be sent anyway when other containers are stopped. I'm just thinking out loud.
Yeah, that would make sense. Yes. Like SIG term is like all the normal containers have finished. The last one has finished. Boom. Now it's your turn, and the pre-stop hook is already way past. So then you take whichever you want. I think it would make sense.
I think a nice side effect of that would be that you can use built-in sleep. Like, I mean, it's not built-in right now, but there is a cap to implement sleep as an action for pre-stop and post-start. So you execute this sleep pre-stop, saying like the sleep will run for at least the grace period, or some very big number. But then you also receive a SIG term, and when SIG term hits you, you just like you terminate. It doesn't need. I mean, it's a major change of behavior. It's like it's something unexpected for authors of sidecars. So they need to know exactly that this is a behavior of sidecars now. And another alternative is to implement another SIG, like I don't know, like how to call it, like.
So the way it works is like a normal container, you get a pre-stop and you can possibly delay stuff, but your grace period is already counting down when you get that pre-stop.
Mm-hmm.
Then you get a term after the pre-stop, and then if you don't exit within grace, then you get the kill.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're suggesting for a sidecar, get the pre-stop whenever we start killing. Basically, the sidecars get a pre-stop early. They get the pre-stop whenever you start killing the main containers, which gives them sort of and then they actually get the term whenever maybe all the main containers are done. Good.
Yeah. So this is an alternative of trying to come up with other signals for sidecar that can help navigate this like complex behavior.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's doable.
I don't know if any. Can we introduce SIG term? Another interruption SIG kill. Can you introduce something new? Okay, signals.
Yeah, sig up, sig int, sig stop.
They'll probably run into is like all these other applications that aren't set to handle these signals already. And if you only use a sidecar, maybe it's okay since people have to update sidecars anyway, but they'll get these and probably just exit immediately.
Yeah, there is nothing much. Okay, so we have two alternatives. Like first alternative is to try to like start termination of sidecars after main containers, regular termination. And the second one is to split termination to two stages. Like first is pre-stop and the second is SIG term. I think those are two main alternatives we have. Sort of introducing new hook. Like we can introduce a new hook, like saying containers terminated, like a termination started hook. So it's not pre-start, it's not a pre-stop or post-start. It's like new type of lifecycle hook that sidecars can implement. It feels excessive, but maybe better. It's not a, I mean, what might be semantic of that for regular containers? Or maybe we can think of other way, like there is a pre-stop hook, but there is also other containers are done hook. Maybe containers that are not sidecars may also be want to run till completion of other containers. In other words, do we need the same signal mechanism for other containers? Like, do we have scenarios when something is not a sidecar, but it still wants to run for as long as other containers are running?
I don't see why it wouldn't just make itself a sidecar at that point, because it can't control startup ordering without being a sidecar. So it's sort of,
Okay.
I don't know if there's a downside to being a sidecar if it's something like that.
Yeah, you're probably better off implementing it as a sidecar.
Oh. Um,
Yeah, every scenario I can think of is some kind of job orchestration when something is downloading files and another thing is processing files. You probably want to implement one of them as a sidecar anyway. Okay. I think we need to list the scenarios and um, we need somebody from API team, like maybe somebody who can approve one of these approaches. I mean, we can write it down as a cap proposal and then like discuss as a PR. I think maybe that's a option.
Yeah. I think we need to amend the cap and just like ask for a review of team or who was our API reviewer?
Team, and I think Joe is kind of API approver.
Yeah.
So we are trying to add new signal for differentiating path termination and all regular containers are down.
No new signal. It's just we change the when we send the signal.
Okay.
We execute the pre-stop hook when we used to send sig term, and then we send the sig term when the last container has exited. Right?
Okay.
I mean, today you don't even send sig term before pre-stop is completed. And the proposal is to send sig term.
Yes, is to send it whenever the last container has finished, but only for sidecars.
and in doing that, also serialize sig term for sidecar so that you control sidecar termination ordering.
Yeah, I think that's doable. Yeah, we can do it in reverse order.
Then how about the pre-stop hook? When we do the termination ordering, do you have to ordering the pre-stop hook as well?
No.
No? Okay.
As I understood, we send the pre-stop hook to every sidecars when we start the pod termination.
Okay.
Well, I
Oh,
think
Sergey?
every container, right? Like every container in the pod, if it has a pre-stop, I'll get called
Yes.
in parallel.
Yes. The
Maybe-
only difference is that we don't wait for pre-stop hook to finish before sending the SIG term. It might happen before or after. It's just not related, no longer related to the pre-stop.
Okay.
Well, I think you may want to, like, if the sidecar pre-stop happens to take longer, I think you may still want to wait until pre-stop is done before you send SIG term. That way, it sort of retains the same behavior, except your SIG term is that way. Your SIG term is always guaranteed to come after your pre-stop hook is finished, but it may be a long time.
Not immediately after.
Yeah.
Maybe okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want me to try to phrase this in the CAP, or someone else wants to take it?
Go for it. I think it would be nice if we can do it. Team is out till 31st, so a couple more days.
31st or 21st?
31st. I mean, a couple more days.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, because right in US it's there was something this week, no? The day
It's long
off.
weekend next week. Like this weekend is a long weekend, Labor Day or something.
Okay. Okay. Labor Day is like okay. Next weekend.
Labor by not working. Yeah.
Nice, but it's the same in France. Huh? We have a fête du travail and we don't work.
Okay. Yeah, I guess every human is the same.
Okay, so I will write it in there.
Thank you. Do we need to write test on what we have already, so that the fact that we respect the pre-stop and we respect the graceful termination? I think it may be helpful to just
Maybe
stop
I can.
what the current behavior is.
Okay, maybe I can make the test for current behavior so that we can update the test after implementing that.
That
Thank
would
you.
be great.
Okay then. Yeah, I think that was all I wanted to discuss today. Any other topics? I think we need to start
I just
approvers. Go ahead, Ginja.
Yes, I just want to remind that I opened an issue about the restart behavior of restart a winning container. So maybe you can reply on that issue here.
Let's check.
This is the issue about the
Yes.
restartable behavior that I mentioned last week.
Okay, so we have like a restartable init container on a pod with restart policy never.
Yes, pod restart policy is never.
And what happens if pre-stop fails?
Pre-stop is not related to.
So here I would expect I would expect to try to restart the init container until we start and fail the main container. To me, the restart policy never for the pod applies to the main container, to the regular containers, not the init. So I would always restart the
But
the
it
init
was
container
applied.
sidecar.
But it was applied to the regular init containers. So maybe someone wants to apply it. Maybe we need a way to apply it to the restart init container.
Yeah, I see what you mean, because here we could end up in a loop of always trying to restart the init container, and people might not like it, right?
Yes.
That's your concern. Okay.
Especially for job.
Yeah, it's a fair point. So you saying it's hard to implement, right?
I'm just saying that we have to decide which way to go.
I think there should be a way for a sidecar to say that I cannot start, please don't even attempt.
Okay. Okay.
That's why I was asking about post start. If post start fails, will we consider it as a fail?
That is another question. I think we now wait for the post start hook before starting the next init container. So we can say that it is the post start hook is the part of the startup, maybe.
Yeah, I think with other containers, if post start fails, we will try to restart it, right? So it will be considered as a failed container.
Yes.
So I think it may be similar here. If you want to express that you don't want to start this sidecar, you can just implement the post start and fail it. But I don't know, like on startup probes, it may be harder. Like failing startup probe, I just don't know how, like, so default will be it needs to fail. How many times it needs to fail? I don't remember.
3 times is default.
Yes.
Okay, so it failed 3 times and we consider it as a failed. Yeah, I think it may be a little bit too harsh for init containers.
So what you mean is if you change the fail to 1, then it will be enough to cover this?
No, I'm trying to understand what, like, I think we need to have a semantic of init containers that fail to start. A restartable init containers that fail to start, so it fails the job. The question is now, what will be the signal? So signal may be startup probe failing a certain amount of times in a row, or signal may be something about post start. So post start is very easy to explain semantic. Like if you want to indicate that your restartable init container is not healthy, then you fail the post start hook, and that will terminate the whole job. With startup probes, it's a little bit more complicated because, yeah, if you just starting too slow, it will terminate the job. It may be a little bit too harsh. Like you may not expect that situation. Any other opinions?
So you are
use case for this. Like, why would a user like what's the real use case for configuring this.
Now, the use case, I think it's clear, but I just failed to see how Sergey's proposal will look like in the pod spec. So you define a post start that is always been false? No.
No, you implement a post start, and like scenario maybe you have a service mesh, and this proxy that you implement needs to download certificate first, and then proxy traffic through the mesh, right? So if you fail to download certificate, you are not functional. And if you failed after attempting 3 times, you want to indicate that you cannot even start this job. Otherwise, it wouldn't be functional without this certificate. So what you can do is to implement this post start hook that will download the certificate. And if you fail to download, you just fail this post start hook, returning like 500, and job will not start after that.
But downloading the certificate is the main job of a container, so
Main job is to be a proxy.
okay.
Downloading the certificate is just a like prerequisite.
So you are saying that we can just restart even if startup proof fails, but we should not restart if post start hook is failed.
Yeah, that may be one of the options.
Okay. Maybe we can document it in cap the next stage more clearly about this.
Okay. I can send, so Matthias, you will send update about termination order. I can send update about restart.
Okay.
I send myself to spell it out. Okay, any other topics? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, folks. See you next week.